Hey, David Brewster here with a new episode of Breaking Chords, and this is the Shapeshifter Workout. And this is something I've had for quite a while, and I definitely have a lot of warm-ups and workouts and things I like to work on. You know, aside from learning songs and licks from other people, I really like to kind of challenge my technique with different things. And this is definitely arpeggio-based, which you could probably tell from the way it looks and the way it sounds. And it's very musical, it's ear-catching, you know. And I think it's a lot more interesting to play things like this than it is to just run through symmetrical chromatic-based exercises. Now those are beneficial exercises and great for conditioning your hands, building your technique, you know, working on, getting your hands synced together. But more often than not, I find myself practicing musical and melodic exercises because it actually sounds like music. And, like I said, I've had this for a while. And before we dive in here, I just want to remind everybody that all chords are built from scales. All arpeggios are built from chords. And when you learn something new, be sure to practice and play it slowly until you really get a feel for it, and then you can start going faster. Just a reminder. And as another reminder, I have an entire book on this topic, shapeshifting. This is with Centerstream. It came out in 2020, and it basically talks about moving, fingering shapes and patterns around the fretboard. Now, the idea I'm sharing in this episode doesn't appear in my book, but this topic overall is broken down and explained in my book, Shapeshifting. So before I dive in and break down this workout, I want to show you kind of behind the scenes what's happening, because there's an implied chord progression that's kind of moving, and you could probably hear it during that opening when I played the exercise. So it's basically starting with an E major 7, arpeggio, but we can relate that to chords, really easy. So E major 7, then that's going to move to an F minor 7 flat 5. And then F sharp major 7. And then it's G minor 7 flat 5. And then A flat major 7. And then A minor 7 flat 5. And then finally I ended with B flat major 7. Like that. So it's kind of this little cycle of chords that kind of, merge, and it's really important to kind of notice, between those first two chords, the only thing that changes is just the root note. Everything else is staying the same. So that's what your ear is hearing, that blur, between E major 7 and then it moves to F minor 7 flat 5, right? So your ear is hearing the remainder of those notes of the chord. It's just that lowest note, the root note. So then when we transfer that to arpeggios, that first example right here, right, you can see right there is your E, G sharp, B, D sharp, and then you do it again an octave higher, right, like that. And you also notice I'm using my third finger and pinky there on those final two notes. That's actually really tough to lead with your third finger instead of your index like that. So there's E major 7 right there. Now you may notice I'm also using legato. You could pick every note if you want to. I usually slur. I pick the first note, and some strings have 2 notes per string, and that's when I do either a hammer-on or a pull-off. Some notes are only 1 note per string, and those are just, picked individually. But right there, so there's your E major 7. Now we're going to change this into F minor 7 flat 5, like this. Right? And right there you can see there's your F, that A flat, B, and then that E flat. And then right there, I'm basically grabbing this, you know, that A flat and that B, and then E flat and F. So it's kind of like what we did with E major 7, where we had that third finger and pinky, but for the minor 7 flat 5, we're coming up like that, and then you're grabbing that E flat with your middle finger and that final F with your pinky. So that's tricky too. It's kind of unusual or awkward to lead with your middle finger right there. Right. So there's the progression right there, E major 7. And then F minor 7 flat 5. Now as far as moving that, you're going to start with E. And then move, you know, that E major 7, then move to F minor 7 flat 5 right there. Right. Next up is F sharp, and we're going to move back to major 7 arpeggio. So an F sharp major 7 arpeggio, do the same thing we did in E, just up a whole step right here. Right, F sharp major 7, right? And then after that, the G minor 7 flat 5 right here. And then A flat major 7 right there. And then A minor 7 flat 5 right there. And then I ended with B flat major 7 right there. Now you could keep going, you could go all the way up until you run out of frets, but that's usually the way I play it, and I usually do it ascending. It doesn't really have the same sound when you descend. It's all about that progression, you know, the major 7 to the minor 7 flat 5, and it's really interesting. You know, like I said, it's musical, it's melodic, it's ear-catching. You know, it reminds me of like a piano, like playing these rolling arpeggios, or maybe a violin or a harp or something like that. Or even like a sequencer, like a keyboard, you know, with like an arpeggio sequencer like that. All right, so that is basically the Shapeshifter workout. And, you know, we started in E and I moved all the way up to B flat, right? Now keep in mind, you could also start this lower and you could start working on stretching if that's something you want to investigate with this. You know, you could move all the way down to B flat and you can go from B flat to B flat if you want to. But just, you know, keep in mind, wherever you move it down here, it's going to be much stretchier, much harder to play like that. And like I said, you can go all the way down to B flat. So it doesn't really matter where you start it. The important thing here is play it cleanly, you know, try to make every note, you know, ring true. And if you find yourself kind of messing up or flubbing a few notes, then start over and play it again. I would only practice this as fast as you can comfortably. You know, if you feel like you're kind of really pushing yourself or you're making mistakes and stuff, then you're obviously playing that too fast. Slow down. And you can just creep right through it, just crawl. Right? Like you don't have to shred through that. And we're basically using this as a workout, right? So you don't want to shred workouts and warm-ups. You want to play them very slow. I'm a big fan of slow warm-ups and gradually start, you know, picking up the pace and the speed. The next thing you know, you're shredding and flying around. But just do it really comfortable. I usually just, you know, grab my guitar and whatever tempo feels comfortable at that time or moment, that's how fast I play it. So I don't really worry about like pushing myself or racing through it. Just grab a guitar and just figure out, okay, you know, that tempo feels really comfortable. You know, I have control over what I'm doing. Now, if I start trying to go faster, it seems like I'm losing control or that authority. So always make sure, you know, start slow and then start gradually, you know, slowly going faster. wrap this episode of Breaking Chords with the Shapeshifter Workout. Like I said, I've had this for a while, and I have a lot of warm-ups and workouts that I like to run through. I've shared a few here on the channel already, and I have a giant stash of, other workouts and exercises I like to use. And like I said earlier, once I've kind of worked with an exercise a lot, I tend to kind of retire it, at least temporarily, and move on to another exercise, and then I come back to those older exercises. And that's a good way to kind of test your technique and see how you've improved. And then also it kind of reveals like things that you're maybe lacking or you need to work on. It could be picking, it could be fretting, or it could be legato, or string skipping, or sliding, or bending, or whatever it is, tapping or something. But your hands will let you know. Like if you're doing something and you're not quite ready, it's going to sound like it. It's going to sound kind of shaky, or you're going to hear mistakes and stuff, or it's not going to be very clean. So, be critical, of your technique and what you're doing, and allow yourself to kind of sit there and think, okay, can I play this cleaner? Can I play this smoother? And obviously I know the focus is getting it faster, but don't worry about that. Speed will come. Really make sure you're doing it precise and accurate, and flowing. And then once you, kind of work on it that way, when you do pick up the pace and when you do start playing it faster, it's going to sound clean, it's going to sound amazing, it's going to sound the way that you want it to. And the only way to get to that point is to go slow and be very precise, very critical, like, oh, I messed up a note, I should do it again. And that's something I've noticed a lot of guitarists don't like doing that. They're just like flying through stuff, easy peasy. Well, I'm sorry, music and the guitar is not supposed to be easy. And shortcuts and stuff like that, yeah, they're it's definitely very tempting to kind of leap from one level or ability to another, but you definitely want to take the time and really sweat out your technique. You don't want to make shortcuts. And so working on stuff like this will really help your technique, and it's fun. It's a big challenge to sit there and think, okay, can I play this, and can I play it a little bit faster or smoother or cleaner? That's a big challenge. That's what workouts and exercises and warm-ups are all about. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Nail Lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.